Hello, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions. And welcome to another episode in our Karmann Ghia repair, maintenance, and improvements series. So, remember last time, kind of the three major things that we were going to do on this vehicle was we were going to replace the transaxle, and we're going to do some maintenance on the conversion. We're going to check the brushes and on the motor and our battery, that kind of thing. And then we were going to add rear disc brakes, amongst other things. But those are the three major things that we're going to talk about. Well, in order to remove the transaxle, we're going to have to pull out the battery pack. That's because on the Karmann Ghia, this originally had what they called a package shelf, where you would have a back seat. This didn't have a back seat. They had what they called a package shelf. And so that's where our batteries are. They're basically in front of the rear axle and behind the seats, and they're just on top of the hump. So it's down low, as far forward, as close to the center of the vehicle as we can get. Made a huge difference on the handling of this vehicle. And so we did some other handling improvements, and we have a video on that, where we added heavy-duty front anti-sway bar, and we added a rear anti-sway bar. And of course we've autocrossed this. It's been to Laguna Seca a couple times. It's a really good handling little car, a lot of fun to drive. And a lot of that is due to the battery pack being located where it is. The downside of it being located where it is the coupler for the shift linkage to the transaxle is accessed underneath this package shelf, which is now our battery pack. So we have to remove the battery pack. We don't need to remove the metal frame or anything, but we need to remove the cells and pull out our ABS bottom piece, pull that out to have access to that coupler on the shift linkage. So that'll be the first thing we're going to do in this series now, is we're going to remove our battery pack and disconnect that coupler. Well, before we do that, there's a couple things that we're going to do that are common, typically whether you have a gasoline car or electric car or whatever. We're going to disconnect the power. So we're going to shut off the power on our traction pack, and we're going to disconnect our 12-volt battery. Here's a shot of the JLD 404. We're showing 146.6 volts on the pack. It's been used just slightly. We're just under 7 amp hours used out of the pack. Well, to disconnect the traction pack, it's very easy. We use one of the heater levers right here to connect to our disconnect. So this being a DC system, it's not just a service disconnect, it's also an emergency disconnect in case we had a controller failure where it failed wide open. So to disconnect that, and this is the power that's coming directly from our battery pack, we just simply push that. Now our pack is disconnected. Alright, this is the view under the bonnet on the Karmann Ghia. Down here where the spare tire originally sat, right in here. This is the box for our auxiliary battery. And so here's our auxiliary battery right here. We've got a trickle charger on it right now, which we will put back on. But so I'm just going to disconnect the negative battery cable. So now we have our traction pack is disconnected, and so is our 12-volt system. So now let's pull the batteries out of this thing. Well, this is the view behind the seats. Put the seat forward so that we can get a shot here. Got a couple things to pull out of the car before we start yanking around, but we just happened to use the piece of carpet that used to go on the package shelf, just cut it off the shelf and just left it in the car. Got this moving quilt on top of the batteries, kind of as a little insulating pad, and then the carpet on top of that. And so there's actually a fair amount of space behind the seats. We've got 48 inches wide by 40 inches deep. And it's a great little grocery getter. I've put all sorts of stuff in the back of this car over the years. But, you know, we really haven't done any cosmetics to this. This is the way we purchased the car aesthetically. It was converted in 8 days, and it's just been driven like crazy since then. So, not the most, finished setup here, but it has worked out very well for what it's used for. So anyway, we'll just fold the carpet back out of the way and move the quilt, and that will give us access to the top of our battery pack. So here's the top of the battery pack with the pad and carpet removed. Piece of 1/4 inch polycarbonate that is bolted to our flange on the steel rack. This is 1/8 inch thick, 1.5 inch angle iron that forms the box. You can look at the video from Gas Electric in 8 days, and shows the box when it was constructed and so forth. So anyway, next we'll remove this top, and that will give us access then to the cells themselves. Okay, here's a view without the polycarbonate lid in place, so we're not getting reflection back from the light coming in through the skylights. So you can see we basically have 3 rows of cells here. There's a total of 44. These are the Calb CA series 100 amp hour cells. You move a piece off, you can see so we've got most everything covered with these insulating pieces right here, but these are quite tough, and they're also in this case being used to hold down the cells. So the cells are in this box, which has an ABS liner. So metal frame, ABS liner, and then on the top we have this insulating strips and then the polycarbonate top that's held with 11 bolts to hold that in place. So next we will carefully remove all of our interconnects and remove the cells from the vehicle. Being as that takes a few minutes, I'm not going to bore you with video of that. We'll just remove them and see you then. So you can see I removed one of the interconnects kind of in the center of the pack here, so that now my pack no longer is one series circuit. It's kind of split in two. So I carefully, loosen the bolts, remove them one at a time, carefully making sure that my strap doesn't rotate or go anywhere else short against anything else. And then they're both, the bolts and the straps are removed. Once those are removed, I'm going to put these little plastic covers that came with the cells back over. And so I will then loosen a series of these. The rest of these are kept covered, but I'll loosen these up, remove them, remove the interconnect carefully, and I will go through my pack doing that. And then once these are removed, putting my little plastic caps in place. Just all that, just to be a little on the safer side, so that nothing can be introduced in here to cause a short, because that would not be a good day. So anyway, we'll continue removing all the interconnects and prepare the batteries for removal from the case itself. Just a quick shot of what the pack looks like with some of the interconnects still in place. I just removed the insulating covers very quickly. Just for this little shot, I'll recover those as we continue to make progress in removing the interconnects. But just thought you might like to see how it's all interconnected. Here's a quick shot of the cells before being removed from the battery box. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull one out of the center, and then we can lift the rest of them out easily. So we'll pull one out of the center here. They're fairly loose. A little difficult to get out until we remove one of them. Once one's removed, then the others will come out very easily. Did take a little bit of time to lift it out nice and easy. So now once I have the hole there, all the others will come sliding out, no problem. So now we'll remove the cells and put them over on the workbench. At that time we'll inspect all of them, both just visually and with a voltmeter. But I have no doubt they're all dead on, and so no worries there. Well, here's the shot with the batteries removed from our battery box. So we just need to lift out our ABS liner, and that will expose us to the linkage that we're looking for to be able to disconnect the shift linkage to the shifter shaft on the front of the transaxle. So we'll give you a shot of that next. All right. Well, here it is. This is the inspection or access plate. This was on here when we bought the vehicle. I don't know what the ground wire is for, but need to remember to replace that. That hasn't been off in a while. Put this back like this just so we remember where it goes. So, here's that junction right here. Here's that union we were talking about. We'll try a different camera angle to see if we can get a better shot at it. Anyway, there's one bolt here that will disconnect that union right here that goes to the shift linkage. This is the shaft from the transaxle right here. And this comes from the linkage. They're coupled right there. Well, it looks like a pretty good shot. You get the idea. I'll move the shift lever so you can see. So anyway, that's what we were looking for. Trying to get to where we could have access to that one little bolt right there. Anyway, gives us the opportunity to inspect our batteries a little bit. We did observe that the interconnects were all nice and tight. Thanks, I think, in part to one of the Nordlock washers. And also, we typically, once we install it, we go, in this case, we went about 1,000 miles, went back and retorqued everything. And then this pack hasn't been touched in quite a while, and everything looked just absolutely perfect. Well, here's that pack. 44 cal CA series 100 ampere hour cells. Doesn't take up a very big footprint on our desk right here. You can see just. So it always is impressive to me that this little pack right here will move that Karmann Ghia in excess of 60 miles, and it'll push it up to 95 miles an hour. I'm impressed. It's like driving like magic to me. Does it without any sound. If you're pulling a grade or passing someone on the freeway, internal combustion vehicle makes a little different noise when you under acceleration. The electric conversion just zips on by, and this is what makes it possible. And it's a little bit of an expenditure still today. I mean, this is about a $6,600 pack, but it's still impressive nonetheless, as the length of time that we will get service out of this, and the volume and weight. This is 308 pounds. Not too bad. Like having a big friend riding with you. Only we get to stick the big friend down low in a good spot so that the car handles nicely, and it's the way we like to go. But anyway, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, we'll continue the process to remove the transaxle. So the next thing that we'll be doing in order to have access to the transaxle is we need to remove the motor. So join us next time as we remove the motor and continue the process of replacing the transaxle. We're also going to inspect these cells as far as voltage goes. We inspected them when they're being removed from the vehicle. They all physically look fine. There's no swelling, no issues. They've been sitting in that vehicle riding real nice. There's no abrasion or anything from them rubbing against one another or anything. Everything has gone just as you would want it to go, just as we designed it to be. So until next time, I'm Richard with EV4U Custom Conversions, and we hope to see you next time. And if you enjoy our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel.